Hi there, Coach Patrick here from Marathon Nation, home of the Smarter, Faster Runner at MarathonNation.us. This is part of our weekly coach series, giving you some advice in response to your questions and requests for information that you submit over on our website at MarathonNation.us. So this week, our question is about cold weather gear. Specifically, what do you wear to beat the cold weather? Now, it's important to think, even though we are in the midst of this crazy winter, it's important to think about what cold means for you. Everyone sort of has a personal threshold. At the beginning of the winter, anything below 40 degrees feels really cold. But then as time goes on and you've been in some 10-degree days, let's say, 25 degrees actually feels not so bad. So cold in and of itself is a moving target. And so you have to know where that threshold is for you in terms of cold. When you transition from, I'm just going to put an extra sweater on, to I actually need to prepare to head outside in this cold weather. The second element of it is the type of cold. There's just general cold weather, like outside right now, it's 10 degrees. That's cold weather. But if it's cold weather that's combined with some other element of nature, and that could be something like wind chill. So if it's 10 degrees outside, but the wind chill makes it -10, in other words, the wind is so strong that it's taking 20 degrees away from the baseline temperature, that is a very different type of cold and may require different gear, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay? Another element of cold is precipitation. If it's snowing, then you generally can get away with a good run in the snow, which I personally really enjoy running. It's just so peaceful and quiet in the snow. But if that snow turns to rain, or if it is raining outside, so not cold enough to be snow, but cold enough to make you wet and cold, that is bad, and that can really be a situation where the cold weather can be really counterproductive to your overall season, to the goal of that workout and the goal of your training, for whatever reason you may be out there training. So very important that you understand your own personal level of cold, and then also the actual conditions outside your house or apartment or wherever you live, because you want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in danger. I don't want you to go outside in freezing rain to get a run in, when you could really get sick, or conversely, I don't want you outside running when it's fresh snow over recently frozen ice, and the odds of you falling and slipping are significantly increased. So just kind of be mindful about what that means for yourself in terms of your own personal threshold level for cold, but also personal safety level for what cold means. All right, so what do you actually wear? Well, when I think about running in the cold temperatures, I think about two specific elements of my gear. I think about my outer layer, and I think about my innermost layer. Okay, and let's go through those in reverse, because that's how we get dressed. The first thing that I will put on in cold weather is a base layer, and that typically is some kind of very snug, performance-oriented fabric, typically a wicking fabric that is going to be on my body. It's typically very form-fitting. It'll be usually in the wintertime. I wear it's like a long sleeve, so it's on my torso and also down my hands. And that helps put a barrier, sort of retaining my heat and helping moisture get off of my body on my innermost layer. And sometimes I'll wear even two of those shirts. I've purchased a couple over the years, and while everyone in my family will tell you that perhaps I need new ones because of the smell, they are fantastic. They work very well. So I'm a huge fan of that base layer. Then the next level I think about in terms of my gear is my outermost layer. Okay, so if you're running in windy conditions, you're going to want something that's like a windbreaker, something that's very solid, almost feels like a lightweight raincoat that's going to block that wind and keep it off of your body. If you're running in something that's colder or wetter, perhaps like snow, or snow that may turn to sort of a wintry mix, you may want more of a waterproof outer layer. And typically these heavier jackets will come with an underarm zipper that will allow you to ventilate them a little bit in a place where you're not going to get wet from being open. Okay, so the outer layer then is determined greatly by the conditions that I'm in. I also have a standard winter running jacket that I tend to wear, and it's relatively thick. It's kind of a mid-weight thick jacket. I put on the lines of sort of like a Champion sweater. It's got a zipper on the front. It's actually a cycling jersey. I enjoy that because it's got pockets in the back for extra stuff if I want them, and it's got a zipper on the front so I can regulate it for temperature if it does get hotter later in the day, etc. And so you kind of have a couple elements to your external layer of gear as well. Other elements that really matter for cold weather running, and I'll just, you didn't ask me this, but I'll put it in there as well, is a good hat and a good pair of gloves. And the colder it gets, you may actually want 2 layers of gloves. You may actually want like a very thin, lightweight glove and then a warmer glove over the top. And quite frankly, when you put a glove on, it does separate your fingers. I have relatively poor circulation. It's very easy for your fingers to get cold. So some people actually prefer mittens, like really running in mittens. For guys, you can get a black pair of mittens that kind of look more badass. But you can put your hand in them, and you can ball your fingers up and help keep them warm inside that glove as an alternative to reducing that discomfort for reduced circulation. When you put them in a glove and every finger is isolated, then the ability of that finger to stay warm is significantly reduced. Same thing with a hat. I prefer like a skull cap, again, very snug, warm material. It also helps to hold my earbuds in when I'm running, which is very nice. Or in extreme temperatures, I may wear like a balaclava, which is that full hood basically that tucks into my running jacket, and I've got that face action. I can pull it down over my chin, and when it gets really cold, I can pull it up over my nose so that I can keep that wind off of my face, off of my lips and my nose, etc. So again, running in the cold and the wintertime requires some patience and some discipline in terms of picking the right gear. You'll get more adept at it as you go. The key thing is making sure that you have the gear so that you can use it when you need it. The last thing you want to do is get halfway through a run or 4 miles from your house and realize that you probably should have put something else on. It's always easy if you get too hot to take something and stash it on the side of the road and pick it up on your way back. Or if you're wearing a bike jersey like me, tuck it in the back of your pockets. But ultimately, we want you to stay warm and safe when you're out there on those runs. Okay? Thanks so much for your questions. Please keep them coming. This is Coach Patrick from Marathon Nation, home of the Smarter, Faster Runner. You can find us online at marathonnation.us. Please tune in next week for another Q&A session. I'll see you then. Take care.